This podcast is sponsored by Nutrofit, official distributor of Onnit supplements in the Benelux and powerful supplier of bulletproof and natural stacks. Your online place to buy supplements and training gear that will help you achieve total human optimization. Try with no risk with our Nutrofit money back guarantee, shipping all across Europe within 24 hours. Find us at www.nutrofit.com.
So here we are, man. We had a very energetic weekend.
Yeah.
Called Grounding Camp. And man, I saw a young man breaking into tears and old men shedding their skin. Like the bullshit they've been walking around for years, and it just comes out. What's your feeling about the weekend?
Oh, it went great. It was the best grounding camp yet.
Oh, that's
We've
good.
done 6 of them. And we had a great time, and like you said, such a broad spectrum of people all embracing their truth.
Yeah. If you look at, I was thinking about this. It's a very holistic way of healing the body, the mind, and we kind of forgot of these ancient. It's like an ancient tradition of healing, like the singing, the shaking, everything that we've done there. Like, and also what I thought was very interesting. Express yourself, and moving, and how did you get to that combination?
Well, I think it's always been there for me. I'm a very expressive person, so when I was young, when I was in elementary school, I got into a lot of trouble because I was the guy that was always speaking out and always had something to express, something to share, something to say, a joke to throw out there, and didn't do so well in industrialized education, contemporary education. So I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and given medication to suppress or depress my energy. And it wasn't until I found football and weightlifting that I don't want to say I snapped out of the attention deficit, because I never saw it as an issue. I saw it as a matter of channeling that energy. And school wasn't able to channel it, but sports were. So when I found football, my life made a dramatic shift, because I could take all the energy and power that I have running through my body and channel it towards smashing heads with people.
Yeah.
And as I went along, I found football. But in between there, I also discovered that expression is the reason why we've been created, to take in and to share, and that comes in the form of our ideas, our speech, our emotions. So when I found active meditation, I found another channel for taking the energy in order to have it be expressed through emotion, so it doesn't end up being trapped and turn into make us crazy like it does for most people. Most people who are depressed is because the emotions are depressed. They're not letting the emotions to flow. So by giving yourself a safe space to allow the emotions to come up and be processed, we're talking a different game.
Yeah, my biggest lesson from this weekend is definitely just express yourself, and dare to express yourself with no shame. And for some people that will know me, I have my podcast. I'm on I speak on stages, public speaking, and I'm pretty well comfortable with that. But even some of the exercises make me uncomfortable.
Yes.
I've fought jiu-jitsu matches, and I've been through some heat. I know some pressure, but it's different, like to stare a man in the eyes and make funny faces or
roar like a
lion. And I did a vlog yesterday, and I was talking about the lion exercise, but I guess we should keep it secret for the grounding camp. Yeah, it's a sacred thing, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But it was the biggest win for me, and just express yourself in. Be the bad motherfucker you want to be in the most humble and good way that you can be. And I told you've been responsible for me going to the jungle, living with Indians in an indigenous tribe last year.
Yes.
And we've talked about this, and now I get to a point where I'm writing this book, and for some reason, and I heard you saying this in the video as well, we had a Facebook group where you called people up to tell what is your soul calling you to do at the moment, and what is holding you back. And you were really honest about the fact that some things are holding you back as well, like fear of what other people think. And I have that same thing, man. I don't have an ordinary story. It's about plant medicines. Ooh, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand it. And then sometimes I still feel this fear. And it's like going through life on a handbrake that's half on. Yeah. Like, and you're the car that's bumping, and and it's good. And a weekend like this, man, it made so much more clear for me, and especially the energetic release of all that bullshit. Basically, I could put the handbrake down. Yeah. And just go for it. Yeah. In my Ferrari. Yeah. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that, and what I thought was really funny to see in this expression, and I was talking about it to Sai this morning. When you are in front of a camera, you put the camera on and you start ranting, you start shouting and screaming, and you do your thing, and you put the camera off, and then I see you in grounding camp with your family, and you start shouting and yelling to your wife, to your kids, to your brother, and it's such a funny thing. There's no difference in it, and I really admire that, man. That's it's as real as it gets, and it was funny to see you with your family and dancing and singing, and these are things that are very rare in most families. Yeah. I definitely. What do you feel about this family thing and bringing your family into this?
You should ask them, because they know it's weird.
I asked them. They didn't want to answer it on video, so I have to ask you.
Yeah, you know what? I can't help but to be Elliot Hulse, and if I'm going to be Elliot Hulse, then whoever's around me is going to go on the Elliot Hulse ride. And my wife, I started dating her when we were 14 years old. And we were 16, and at that point I kind of imagined that I'd be spending the rest of my life with her. I loved her with all my heart, but I told her, it's going to be a bumpy road. It's going to be a wild ride. If you want to hang out with me, you got to be able to hold on and keep up with me. And by golly, she's kept up with me, and that's included a myriad of wonderful things that we've done together, including having our 4 children. And they don't escape. They're Elliot Hulse's children, so we're going to do grounding camp together. They exercise, and we eat whole foods in the house, and all the things that I speak about in my videos is who I am. So when I go home, you're going to end up seeing that in my life.
It's very inspiring to see, man. And I'm going to be a father in April myself.
Oh man, congrats! April what? Do you know?
Probably 5th.
Yeah, I'm April 10th.
Yeah? All right, I'm going to extend it till the 10th then. Yeah, baby. I'm going to make sure it happens. But yeah, so...
good leaders.
Yeah. Very creative, and but also very, like we are forceful, very...
We are, as Aries, and I spoke about this, the cosmic consciousness, where all the horoscope signs, which are archetypes, have been upgraded, and Aries is a spark of divine creation, so we are very good at starting things. We get things going. So natural born leaders.
Interesting, man. You're making me nervous for the parentship.
There's nothing to be nervous. In fact, you know what? Yeah, be nervous. Be real fucking nervous, because it means that you care.
Yeah, I know my girlfriend is now, if she watches, she's probably thinking like, ask him, what is his best advice for this parenting, for being a father? What would you give me, the best advice?
I would give the same advice as I would for anybody who's trying to be the best at what it is that they want to do. The first thing is to trust yourself, meaning you're going to make mistakes. No one's going to do it right. There's no such thing as the perfect parent. In fact, we're all fucked up. Your parents screwed you up. My parents screwed me up. I'm screwing my kids up, and you're going to screw your kids up. Because it's in the essence of the screwing up that we become our unique selves. So there's just going to be a special kind of screwed up showing up in each one of those. And when you take that perspective, it frees you from having to do it right or to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
And that's the first. The second one is, just like with anything that you want to be great at, what do? You look to someone who you admire that's doing it already really well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So As far as fathers are concerned, whenever I see other men that are fathers to children that are older than me, and I have several of them that come to the gym here, you know, I sit and listen to them and I watch them and I see how they are with the kids, especially if I like how their family is, and I pick up tips.
Yeah.
I'll just put one more in there, and that is I had a great father. He's still alive, and I have a great mother, and I'm happy to say that I raised my children with a lot of the same values that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And not everyone can say that.
Yeah. My father deceased 2 months after I was born. So I know there's a fear. There's a fear of an unknown thing as well. And but still, it's one of the best things. I wanted it for a long time, especially because of that reason as well. You know, just make up for that time. I really look forward to that.
You get to step in those shoes now.
Whoa, yeah. It's going to be exciting. So, I saw you interacting with your kids, and you're shouting, and you're saying "fuck" and blah blah blah. And what are the boundaries for raising your kids? And you know, some people will say like you can't call names or whatever.
Yeah. Well, violence is unacceptable in my home, and that comes with the language too. So when my children hear me swearing, I'm not saying "fuck you" to them.
True.
You know, and it's completely unacceptable for them to speak that way to one another.
Yeah.
So as far as boundaries are concerned, first and foremost is anything that goes beyond the bounds of what a loving family would do or say or be with one another. So I'm adamant about that. But I have to be honest. We live, and we all have to be honest, we live in the day and the age of the walls come down, the curtains have been lifted. The fact that the internet is available, my children will see and hear everything at a very young age. Now, we use some censorship with their apps and stuff, but the fact is, they're going to find it, they're going to hear it, they're going to see it. If I'm doing it and I'm hiding it from them and being a hypocrite about don't do this, don't say that, don't be about that, but I'm doing it, then there's a division in my home and I violate my very first principle, which is be as you would in a loving family. So we don't lie. That's one of our big boundaries in our house. My wife and I don't lie to each other. We keep no secrets, and we don't keep secrets from the children.
Yeah.
You know, we do our best to be open book.
Yeah.
Just like, look, the world is an open book now. You can't do anything and get away with it because somebody's filming you or there's some video there. Even the way we put ourselves out there, Facebook, it's all there. So being transparent, being true, having integrity just means not bullshitting.
Yeah. Everything's transparent in that way. Yeah. We both have a love for shamanism, like the old ways of healing. And I was wondering, from in the whole generation of this world and the history, if you could choose an era where you could be a healer, a shaman, or a sage, or whatever attracted you in that era, and you could go back in time and you could choose a profession, or what would it be?
It would be right now, and I'd be Elliott Hulse. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah?
Yeah, the shamans of old, well, they were able to help their community. They were able to help their family, the people within their tribe.
Yeah.
Today, it's a global tribe. You and I, look, you're from all the way up north in Europe, and I'm from down south in America, or South America even, Central. You see, so, but we're still working together on that healing vibe.
Yeah.
The shamans of old, they couldn't do that. This is not just the time of, this is the time of the awakened, spreading shamanistic culture.
So you could say for a shaman, this is the best time.
This is the best time to be a shaman because we can make videos and we can reach out to people. We did grounding camp this weekend. We had 100 people from all over the world come in. When could that have ever happened?
Yeah.
This is the promised age. All the old shamans wish they were here.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. I know you're very into the history of this stuff, and I was wondering, is there? Have you ever heard of any ritual that they used to do, like a rite of passage? I know you wrote about it. Is there any rite of passage or ritual that you would be very interested to do, but probably never going to do? But you can choose one.
Well, there's one that's really fucking fascinating that I'm all about.
Which is the one?
And that is lifting stones in Scotland and parts of the UK. I read a documentary, a book called Stones of Life or something like that. I'll look it up. But it's about how our ancestors introduced boys into manhood through the stones that they would lift. So, you know, you'd have like a boy stone, and, you know, when you're 14, like, wow, I could finally lift it like the big boys. And then when you get to, you know, a little bit older, a little bit bigger, you lift that warrior stone, you know, and so on and so forth. So if you look into the culture of initiation, and then you look up into the culture of initiation through strength, through physical strength, we needed to be warriors. Yeah. As men, as boys, you didn't want to be the weak one, because you want to go and be a warrior with the big boys. So if I could go back and use I can't even say go back, bro. Now, here, today.
Or even
you know what we were doing? When you walked in, what was I doing? I was walking away from a bunch of boys lifting stones.
Yeah.
And every time one of those boys lifts a stone for the first time, have you lifted stones before?
No, man.
You will feel like a brand new man. You'll be born again. We'll make sure we get it for the video.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's an instant evolution.
It's a very primal thing. You know, they should make these posters like you see a monkey becoming a human. They should make one with getting stones.
Yeah,
we do it. The right one. Okay. So I like to share a ritual that I am going to do in a few years. I know, and a lot of people will always say like, "Weird, shut up, ask questions," but I like to tell it myself as well.
Hey, do you?
I got good stuff, and I didn't tell you this story yet. Like, when I was visiting this tribe, they're doing a lot of ayahuasca, and before you can serve ayahuasca, you need to do a medicine diet, a plant diet. And you have different diets that you can do, but one of them, like your relationship with that stone, this one is mine, and it's going to be mine in 5 years or so. I'm going to do it, and it's the diet of the snake. You're going to do a diet, and at one point in this diet, with no salt, no sugar, you'll be in isolation, no meat. You drink the medicine a lot, and at one point you will get a dream where you can find the snake. And then you have to find the snake. You have to catch it. You have to nurture it for 3 months. And the snake will learn you healing songs.
In your dreams?
No.
A real snake?
It's a real snake.
You gotta find the snake.
You got a real snake. And the dreams will tell you where to find it. And you know, I've been to the forest, and for some people this might sounds really crazy, and it is, but I know it's their way of doing it. They're doing it for thousands of years. So you catch the snake and you have to nurture it for 3 months, and the snake will teach you healing songs, and it will give you insights. And
have you done this?
No, I'm going to do it because in order to serve ayahuasca, to serve the medicine, it's a big responsibility, right? So you have to do this diet to be able to do this, and then in the end, after 3 months, you have to kill the snake, and then because otherwise the snake will take away your powers to finish the diet. And that's going to be a book on itself, you know. It's going to be really cool.
That's fascinating.
But it's that's really the thing that I want. I know it's the calling to do. So that's the ritual that I.
Be you, baby. Go get that snake.
Yeah, definitely. So if it goes to plant medicines, I've heard you on London Real talking about ayahuasca, and you didn't really get into the ayahuasca experience itself. I was wondering, how did you experience it?
You know, the reason why I wasn't impressed with it, and it's only once, you are going on the journey of mastery for it, so maybe I'll come and join you. You go catch that snake, give me a call and let me know, and I'll drink some with you.
I'll do that. I will do that.
My one experience came after almost 5 years of doing bioenergetics and active meditation. And as you know, through this weekend, bioenergetics and active meditation is a lot about stripping the layers off and getting to the core. And when we get to the core, there's a purge. And the purge comes in forms of, you know, like you said, people cry. There's laughter. There's just shaking and vibration. We had some guys that were throwing up. Blah, blah. And so all that I've been through. I've seen my demons. Let me put it that way. I've done enough bioenergetics that I've seen my own demons, my own anger, my own sadness, my own fears. So that when I came to the opportunity to use the ayahuasca, I had already been there with the tears. So when it all came up, I wasn't as shocked as a lot of people are who are not prepared.
Yeah.
You know? So all that to say that I have been able to can't say this for sure, but the way I see it is that I've been able to reproduce a lot of the same type of purging that's available through ayahuasca without medicine, but through movement, dancing, and breathing, just like our ancestors did as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can tap into different layers of consciousness. Like when you drink ayahuasca, you go right away to the top.
Yeah.
But after the breathing exercise, I think on the second day, I actually went to you and shared it, right? Like I was doing breathing exercises and I was just getting a lot of insights. And I actually recognized this space that you get into. And you have insights and you have visions, and people are like, oh, you have visions like things you see, but visions can come in feelings or thoughts, and it's not from the head, it's from the heart.
Yeah.
And it's what you say, like when it comes from the universe, you just go for it.
Trust it.
That's the thing here. It's really interesting. So, are you a visual person? Do you have a lot of insights and psychedelic experiences during your breathing or holotropic breathing? What have you done?
It's funny because I don't know if I actually see or hear. I talk to myself, so maybe some of it is I'm hearing it. That's a good question. But when the insights come, like you said, you can't miss it because it instantly rises in the body.
Yeah.
So when it rises, it could be a vision or it could be I'm talking to myself, but the feeling sense is what nails it.
Yeah. You know it.
Yeah, it's just an excitement that rises, and I'm like, oh my God, here it is, and the insight, and then I write it down.
So if we go back to one of the other ancient ways of getting insights, is just locking people up in caves, put them in solitude in the dark, and you've had your own time of solitude, and your talks about solitude really inspired me to go to the jungle to sit 40 days in a hut, and that's
Amazing.
no impulses, no internet, no electricity, just a few Indians coming around and just on your own. And I remember walking in that space. At one point, you start to get bored, so you start talking to yourself. You start laughing at yourself and crying at yourself, and you don't know what to do with your feelings because you're feeling so much, because you never experienced so much.
Because you're there.
Yeah, you're there. You're well aware. And at one point, I remember one moment where I was walking in my underwear in their sacred space. It's like a space in the jungle, 2 hours away from their village. And I was making a fire on my own. It took me 2 hours to do it because I don't know how to make a fire. Sometimes I felt really vulnerable and useless in that jungle because I didn't know how to help myself. You know? We're so spoiled here. And I remember I was making a fire, and it was like a warm blanket of self-acceptance that came over me. And obviously I drank a lot of ayahuasca, so it was still in my system. And I felt this warm feeling of acceptance that tomorrow, if my podcast goes down or my company goes down or whatever, doesn't fucking matter, because this is Wiggert. This is who you are. And that's it. And all the bullshit around it is not important. And that pure acceptance, I actually came out of that diet, you know, in like this, some sort of self-told enlightened state, like I know everything now. And I came back. And my whole world started shattering, and this whole card deck the card house started to crumble, and I couldn't hold it because, you know, I felt this total acceptance, and then I started having thoughts and judgments, and I just couldn't keep it together. And then I really understood the big lesson of this diet, that the real diet starts after you get back into
Yes, and that's what I tell people that come to grounding camp, you know. When you leave grounding camp, don't go look for it, but it's going to unfold. And in a few months, you're going to look back and you're going to see, wow, where did I come from and where am I now?
Wow, yeah. It's a powerful.
You mentioned in one of your dreams the snake biting you, and then you just described your life falling apart. That has a lot to do with us needing to accept that we die multiple times in our life.
Yeah, it's one of the shaman's journeys, what they often describe as you die. I like to tell the story again, it's cool. I was laying in my hammock and I was drinking the ayahuasca, and I had judgments about everything. The trees, the people, how they treated me, the food, because I was eating potato and banana for fucking 3 weeks already. And you know, at one point I was just laying in my hammock, and for some reason, and there's no coincidence in this stuff. It's like a fairy tale book. You guys, you gotta buy the book later on when I'm finished. I'm writing it now. A red parrot came over and it landed like on a branch, just like 50 meters away from me. Beautiful animal, like 1.5 meters tall and beautiful. And I just looked at it. And I had no thoughts. I had no judgments. It was just there. I could observe it. And then the medicine, the ayahuasca, told me, like, this is what it is to see clearly. Because I was writing a book during my diet, and it had several chapters. And this chapter was about being able to see clearly, and I had no idea what that meant. So I was looking at it, and I had no judgment. I just could observe it. I saw the bird. That was it. And then it told me, this is what it is to see clearly. And in the meanwhile, this big snake started, was like curled up, and it was like in front of me, just looking at me. And it wasn't dangerous. I had no feelings of fear there. And I asked the medicine, so if this is what it is to see clearly, can you teach me? And then it told me, I can't teach you, because therefore you have to die first. And the snake just started eating me. And I remember grabbing my hammer, and I just screamed on my own in the whole fucking jungle alone. And the snake totally ate me. And I sank into the earth. And the only thing that was left was my skull and my eyes. And I was just looking. And I was not feeling anything, not thinking anything, no judgments. And then I understood that I just died of all my old emotions, my perceptions, the symbols, all the knowledge that I have. The old Wiggert, it was just gone. Yeah. And then the only thing that's left is that you can look into a humble and peaceful way to everything, and it just happens. And it's daily work to maintain that thought, because you get thoughts and judgments, but it's a very good reminder that the old Wiggert died there. And, I guess we die a few times in our life.
Oh yeah.
It can go via, and it doesn't have to go via this. It can via burnout or a personal record. And when you do strength training, I guess there's so much to, so much skins and layers to shed.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what do you still practice solitude a lot?
Well, there are different. There's a spectrum of solitude, right? So, complete solitude, like you were out in that's one example. I mean, Jesus spent 40 days out there, and, there's just been a tradition of people going out. And,
you calling me Jesus?
Well, you're doing Jesus kind of shit. Yeah. Jesus. That means Jesus gave us the example. Look, hey, if you want to wake up, get the hell out of society.
I guess Jesus was a mentor for me then. For us all.
Jesus is an archetype, the Christ consciousness. And when you read the parables and the stories, he was just like a shaman. Now, of course, religion has taken all symbols and used it for power and whatnot. But what you did there, 40 days, how significant is that? Thousands of years ago, the story was written about the man who spent 40 days out in the jungle, or out in the desert. He was in the desert, you was in the jungle. Because of exactly what you were looking for, to confront the demons. When he was out there, he was tempted by, as the story goes, he was tempted by the devil, and he was being challenged by all his ego. The ego is being challenged out there. When you're 40 days out there, and I've never done 40 days, so I'm just talking about what I read and what you just said. But it's a matter of really facing your demons out there. Well, we could start very easily. Most people in society don't have to go 40 days. All they probably need to do is turn off their phone for a day.
I start breathing.
Just turn off your phone for a day, or turn off the music in your car when you're driving. That is a solitude. That's a taste of solitude. 40 days is incredible, and of course you'll transform. But for me, still living in society, living in the world but not being of it, I find my solitude, my most beautiful time of solitude is that 1 hour that I get up earlier than everybody else in the morning. I get up earlier and I spend a little bit of time even just sitting with myself and breathing, and then I decide on what the most important thing for me to do in the day is. But that few moments of solitude, getting up before everyone else, is key for setting the pace for the rest of my day. And now, I spend a lot of time by myself, and I don't make as many videos as I used to. Before, I used to be in this gym all day long. People always coming from all over the world, too. They want to visit. And then I'm making videos. So I'm not only bombarded by people in real life, but then I go online and there's comments and there's people talking about me and asking me questions and wanting my attention. So my 40 days was basically 2 years of cutting myself off from social media. When I stopped making YouTube videos, I pulled myself out of my workplace, which is my gym. I'm supposed to be at my gym. I pulled myself out of it and I closed myself up into a little apartment in North St. Petersburg. And I spent a lot of time by myself.
So, you've been to Amsterdam. You were talking about the history of Amsterdam. What was that?
Oh, well, we brought up religion briefly, and Amsterdam has a very important part of the evolution of religion in Europe, particularly the rebelliousness against industrialized, how do I say, power-hungry religion. And it was such that at the time the Catholic Church ruled much of Europe, and not many people could read, so they could fool you and trick you and manipulate you because, we have the book that is about God and we have to tell you what it says and how to do it. Well, according to the book that I read about Amsterdam, there was a rebellion started where they said, no, fuck that, we're going to get the book ourselves. So they figured there was first printed Bibles happened in...
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds
and they said, we're going to read it ourselves and we decide what God is telling us.
All right.
And that launched the Protestant, was a big part of the Protestant Reformation.
Seems like very Dutch. Like we were small, but we were always going after it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we were nice to everyone.
Right.
But we definitely made a statement that, that we're here. And we're here to stay. I think we're actually the only ones that got as far in London. It's the Dutch that came far into it. He loved smacking people.
Yeah, all over the world.
Yeah, that's cool. So, looking back to, I saw your love for this grounding camp, and you were really saying like, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm most happy with. If I would give you a choice, strength camp or grounding camp, what would it be?
That'd be like having to choose, do you want to live in a world with all men or all women? I can't answer that question because both ways are fucked up.
That's an answer.
We need men and we need women. And the way I look at grounding camp and strength camp is like the way I see a yin-yang symbol.
It's the masculine and the feminine.
It's the masculine and the feminine. And so if it is just strength camp, the world will suffer. If it's just grounding camp, the world will suffer. We need both.
Yeah. Very interesting concept though. Do you think grounding camp is really growing? And I can see a lot of energy goes into it. And it's also funny to see you and the whole team working on it because we were just talking about it. I see you on YouTube and on social media. And you create this image of what Elliot does in his daily life. And you guys are working your ass off during these events.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of work. What's the master plan for grounding camp? And because you're doing worldwide expansion now with your gyms as well.
Yeah, strength camp is done wonderfully here in our city, and we know that it would be a blessing to have in other cities. So we're working with our strength camp ambassadors. We have 6 right now, and we're taking on new applicants to help plant strength camps. And I am a firm believer that exercise is the medicine that's going to heal the masses. We to get back into our bodies. And weight training is a very easy way to get in. I mean, you guys found me when you're probably looking for weight training. A lot of guys, they tell me, I was just looking to learn how to build some muscle. I was just trying to get a little stronger. Then I discovered that there was so much more. So strength camp comes first, just like the man comes first. Masculine first. And so the masculine strength camp goes out into the world to seed the power that's available there, but also open the door for what's also pertinent, potent, and now becoming more, it's always been needed, but now people are thirsty for. And that's the feminine aspect, and that's grounding camp. And so I approach the two of them with the same energy that they're birthed out of. So strength camp, I'm very ambitious, very masculine. I'm gonna build it and put it everywhere. I said planting seeds, like a dick, a big penis. Put it out there, planting seeds, just putting it everywhere so it can grow, grow, grow. Very masculine. With grounding camp, I'm more receiving. more yielding, more allowing. I don't have grand visions and plans. I'm feeling it as it goes along and allowing it to unfold and taking a very actively passive role in watching the blessing that it's becoming.
So it's a child that's growing on itself, and just let it grow. Yeah.
In a way, but it needs love. It needs love and nourishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny when you just said, like, you guys probably met me through videos about fitness. I actually came on to you on a video about a bad breakup, a relationship. A relationship that broke up, and you were. I felt very victimized. I felt very hurt. Like, I did this and this and this and blah, blah, blah. This whole masculine thing, obviously. And then I remember that you were telling about Osho. Like, listen, dude, you don't own her. She can choose whatever she wants. If she wants another man, she falls in love with someone else. That's her thing. You have to respect that. And I remember you were saying a poem about this flower. Like, if you love a flower, then just enjoy it. And if you really love the flower, you don't pick it because it will die. And that was like the first powerful thing that got stuck in my mind from this big blue-eyed dude screaming and yelling about breathing into your balls on the camera, and it really it was really funny, and that was one of the most heard things this weekend, that people like that vulnerability and your openness about it, and that, hey man, even macho guys, they can have feelings too. You know? I guess that's a new part of this world.
I'm on a warpath for love.
That the warrior of self-love.
Yeah, man. Right. Can't be separate. We're imbalanced that way.
So if you look at grounding camp and you see the young men rising, and I was truly surprised about two things. One, that a lot of people can release a lot in a very short amount of time, by breathing, by dancing, doing all kinds of stuff. But I was also very aware about very surprised about the younger people telling shit about, well, stuff I didn't know before I was 30 years old. You know, they're well educated. And it's like they're looking for the internet and they're catching all kinds of things and they're mixing it together. And man, some of them are really blessed by opening their eyes in very early days. It's cool.
It's an incredible time to be alive.
Yeah, and it creates a lot of opportunities for to grow with these kinds of things. And, it's pretty cool. So, you know, I was traveling with the shaman that I stayed with in Europe. I'm sorry, I stayed in the forest. I got him to Europe. We did ceremonies all over Europe. And I remember yesterday when we had grounding camp, at the end we were sharing, and there's this loving vibe. Everybody showing their vulnerability, everybody cried, everybody screamed. There's no secrets anymore, and we're doing the sharing, we're doing the ending. And it took me back to an ayahuasca ceremony in Frankfurt. We were sitting, and we were nearing to the end. And at one point, Shaman Isha, he was smiling. I was like, well, what are you smiling? And he's like, I just had the same vision that I had multiple times before. And so what was the vision? It's like, see thousands of people, millions of people, and they have no fucking clue what they're doing. They're just doing stuff. They don't know nothing. And they're just acting, they're not thinking, they're destroying each other. And they don't know. They don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So I kind of challenged him a lot. I was like, well, do you know? He stayed quiet for a while and smiled. It's like, yes, I know. And he says, in our tribe, we heal each other. We help each other. And we build each other up. And if we drink the medicine, ayahuasca, this, what you experience right now, this is what you get. And 1 year later, I'm at your grounding camp, and it's the exact same vibe and feeling, only this time you are the shaman. We're in your tribe, drinking your medicine in the way of grounding camp. And it's a very powerful thing. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's really a transformative weekend. If somebody is looking for a quick taste on transformation, a there's never a quick transformation, I guess.
No, there's no such thing. But remember, I said I'm a spark, and grounding camp is a spark that lights a fire in your heart. And as you've seen, all the people that come back, it just keeps flaming.
Yeah. So if people are looking for this transformation or the start of transformation, I can highly recommend to go to grounding camp, and it will be uncomfortable. Even for the more experienced people, there's uncomfort for everyone.
Yeah.
No worries. And you'll find it there. And I can highly recommend it, man. Thank you so much, brother.
My pleasure, Wiggert.
I really appreciate your inspiration and your motivation and your realness, because it's good, as real as it gets. And that's great to see. So thank you for the interview. Thank you for your time. For you guys, if you're interested in all the stuff that we're talking about, follow me on my channels. And if you're interested about the book that I'm writing, definitely subscribe. I'll put a link up here or up there or wherever. And you'll be in touch. And can I share what I asked you for my book?
Sure.
Yeah. As Elliott was one of the big reasons for me to go to the jungle and go on this journey on myself, I asked him to write a paragraph in my book about finding your own truth. And man, I'm so fucking honored and humbled that you're willing to do that. So
Can't wait.
Can't wait that. Okay, man. Thank you.
You got it, brother.